Why am I dancing with that trans person?
Right. So, yeah, we've got someone called Gremlo with their fetching Antifa livery. The Antifa comic. We've got an Antifa sticker here. Don't know who this is supposed to represent. We're talking with Dr. Devin Price about how laziness does not exist. There's no lazy people. All these people that I've worked with throughout my time having jobs and shit that were lazy as fuck, quite possibly to the point where we ended up getting made redundant from one job I was at for a long time. But it doesn't exist. Laziness does not exist because a female with short hair and no tits said so. So let's have a look. Let's have a look.
On my end to everybody, folks, we have on...
Folks, we got one.
So, just to introduce you on my end to everybody, folks, we have on, our guest for the day is Dr. Devin Price, who, according to your Twitter, is...
I'm definitely a bit lazy. Oh, thank you so much for the $10, Chocho. Thank you.
I love you, Mary.
Merry Christmas, get a new mouse lol.
Will do. All right, thank you so much. I need to send Charlie a message. I'll leave this running for a sec. They're going to be saying the word folks about a million times, talking about being leftoids. So let's go. Let's fucking go.
Is the author of the books Laziness Does Not Exist and Unmasking Autism. Used to be a social psychologist, but you got better. So good to see that you're doing better, Dr. Devin Price.
Thank you. Yeah, years of postdoctoral burnout, and what am I doing with my life? What even is this field? But
Ooh, burnout.
Here I am.
Here you are. Well, if you'd like to kind of...
These types like mentioning burnout. Occasionally I like scour Facebook and shit like that, just looking at profiles and stuff. You get the odd like Troon page that apparently they've been burning out for years and years and years. Not that I don't know the feeling.
Kind of give your own introduction to the chat, preferred pronouns, anything like that. Feel free, you have the floor.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So I'm a social psychologist. I'm a professor at Loyola University Chicago. I'm autistic, and Unmasking Autism is my most recent book that's all about that. Laziness Does Not Exist is a book that's all about anti-productivity and kind of the myths that we're taught culturally about laziness and productivity. My pronouns
Ooh, the myths.
are he, him, and that's about it. Yeah.
Well, listen, she's very kind in giving us her pronouns.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, my first question that I have for you, just so I'm not a, I'm a real one. I did get your book in...
Oh, he's got painted nails. That means he's a radical. Laziness does not exist. Devin Price, PhD. I feel like maybe there should be a law against queers getting PhDs, but that's neither here nor there. They get their PhDs, write these weird books, tell other people what they think, and then those other people become professors and tell other people what to think, and that they're not lazy, there's just stuff wrong with them. Which, why can't it be both? I don't know. I've met loads of lazy people, but it doesn't exist apparently, so hey.
In preparation for this this interview, I have a one section that I do want to ask you at some point, but kind of want to start out with a question. Why does no one want to work anymore? That's a question that we hear constantly in the media.
Why does no one want to work? And people still want to work. What are you talking about?
Right now.
Let me guess. Crappy jobs, not good wages, blah, 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 blah. Then what happens is those people usually get kids, realize that, in fact, they probably do need to work to provide for said kids, and then they get jobs. And usually they're fine because it turns out when you have to be responsible for another person, you'll actually do what's needed of you. But I don't know. I've always tried to work as much as I can.
Kind of want to probe your brain on this, narrative within the media right now of, an ennui that the working class feels right now. What is your take on?
Got narratives in the media. This is going to be amazing. I can just tell, especially with the Antifa stuff everywhere.
On that.
Yeah, I think ennui is a good word
Yeah.
for it. I think we're seeing a lot of resignation in a lot.
Listen, I'll say one thing for this person. If someone said that this person was like a cis gay man, I'd believe them. definitely not like a straight guy, you know, and they still just talk like a woman, which is interesting.
Of different ways. People talk about, risk tolerance with regard to COVID, for example, and people not caring about masking anymore. And I think when we look at that, a lot of that is just people being resigned to their fate and realizing my employer doesn't care about me, my government doesn't care about me. I'm gonna.
What? If you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. What the fuck does that mean?
At least try to have some fun before I die, right?
Right.
Like, I think we've all kind of gone through that with regard to COVID. And I think many of us have also gone through that with regard to work. As a millennial, I entered the job market during the Great Recession. And so we were all really indoctrinated at that point to take whatever job we could get, to work very, very hard.
Indoctrinated? It's called survival. Like, this person gives me like spoiled vibes, to be honest with you.
And never complain, and to be thankful we even had a job.
Yeah, that is a woman. But I'm just saying, if like you told me, or I met this person, assuming they're not like 5'0", and they said that they were a cisgender fucking gay man, I'd believe them, honestly. But that's as far as it goes. And like a very effeminate gay man, don't get me wrong. Like, they've even got the little fucking, is that a piercing? It might not be, to be fair, but...
And, that was coming off of decades of indoctrination that we're just kind of saying, again, your job is who you are. That's the greatest.
What is this indoctrination thing? I don't think people get whatever jobs they can because they're indoctrinated. I think they do it because they want to make some kind of money. By the way, what's wrong with getting a shitty job so that you can try and, like, develop a bit further? Oh, the guy here is Gremlo. He's obviously a radical because he's got painted nails. He has Antifa on his microphone and Antifa back here as well. It's called LARPing.
Pride that you can take is in being self-sufficient, and if you work really hard, it'll pay off. And
we're all indoctrinated that if you work really hard, it'll pay off. Well, I don't know. You start your own business and you work hard at it, it might pay off. Like, my sister and her husband have their own business. And it has paid off because they worked hard at it. It can happen, If you've got something to offer the world that the world needs or that the world wants, then that's how it is. Some of us, we have to just get whatever shitty job we can, get some stuff on our CV, and then try and get something better, speculate to accumulate. And, like, I've had the odd conversation with, like, left-leaners more recently. Trying to get this into some of their heads is fucking painful. Like, everyone should just be entitled to amazing jobs or they should do nothing. Let's let all our fruit fucking rot on the trees. I worked in pretty dead-end fucking bottom of the barrel fucking jobs for the last fucking 10 years. And what I noticed is that a lot of people just can't be fucked, especially if the management wants a fun place to work. You know what I'm saying? Oh, hey, get some 420. Fuck Antifa. Can drink to that for sure. There you go. But yeah, I'm not gonna agree with this very much. Me personally, I think that as someone who also has like mental health issues, probably far in excess of what this person has, like, this has just been necessary to try and integrate as much as I can. And it kind of does people a disservice to allow them too much leeway in this way. And leftoid types just love this kind of shit, and it sucks. Like, the world needs people to work to continue functioning. Oh, hi, Dahaikanen. I do apologize. Neats. Yep, indeed. Well, I mean, this person isn't neat. He's a fucking professor or something, which... Lovely. Teaches other people to think the same crap that he does, and then teach that crap to other people, because these things are just like little cottage industries.
I think us millennials and Zoomers and really everybody at this point has seen what a lie that is. And we've seen now in a very real way with COVID and so many other things, wildfires, how willing most of our employers are to put our lives on the line. And some of us have had
on the line. Fucking hell, I got COVID at my office like a couple of years ago. Was I putting my life on the line? I'm like a Gen Xer. I mean, I'm a fucking millennial. I relate to this person at all. Like, me being like very mentally ill, I've always felt a drive to be as good as I can and to assimilate as much as I can. You know, bearing in mind it's not ever going to be easy for me. But I don't try and just play the victim like, oh, we've been indoctrinated to think we should work. Instead, we should sit on our asses demanding more but never doing anything to like try and get more.
To deal with, you know, the consequences of that, whether it's losing someone or long COVID or whatever else. And so
Why is it always university with fuck me? Why is it always university professors with benefits on like 60K? Issue is people in jobs like warehousing and truck drivers. Who would this apply to? Yeah, I have a feeling this person is probably quite spoiled and maybe from a somewhat upper class, middle class background. They sound like a valley girl when they talk. You don't get many poor working class people that sound like valley girls when they speak.
really, I think, seeing just the despair. People don't want to work because they know they're not going to get anything out of it, and they know that they're considered disposable.
Getting nothing out of it. So, I don't know, work experience, that's nothing getting out of it. Something to put on your CV, so when you apply for a better job that's more what you want, you've got stuff on your CV, that's nothing, is it? A not very good wage, but at least better than nothing, that's nothing, is it? This person is kind of lying, no offense.
By their employer. And finally, for like the first time in my lifespan as a millennial, like the job market is actually in our favor, where we're not so disposable anymore, even though managers still try to act.
Yeah, doesn't it just kind of come and go in that respect? And like talking about disposability. Well, like, yeah, if you quit your job or get a better job and leave, they're going to get someone else. That doesn't mean they don't give a fuck about you. They've been paying you the whole time. You've got experience on your CV. You're like speculating to accumulating. Yeah, I'll start on a shitty job and then hopefully that experience will help me get a better job where I can, you know, explain the skills I've got up to this point and how they're like relatable. I truly do not understand this like mentality to work. I truly don't. Maybe I've just not been privileged enough to feel like I have much of a choice. So I've always just gone for whatever job will take me because I'm a bit insane. And I'm not the biggest catch when it comes to like work. So when I do get a job, I try hard and I try and have the best attitude. By the way, meanwhile, I end up working with other people that don't have the kind of problems I do and who don't really seem to give a shit. My last job, like, I was talking to someone once about how, like, you know, I prefer just having a lot of stuff to do so I can just carry on with it and, like, keep the day moving. And they're like, yeah, I just prefer when there's nothing to do and I can just stand around doing nothing. And I'm like, wow, you've been here years and my boss is, like, scrutinizing every tiny mistake I make. How fucking lucky most of you people are. This person probably could do most things if they wanted to. Work your way up the career ladder. Yes, exactly. This idea that a shitty job gives you nothing is just ridiculous. It's patently false. And I don't know. I guess they want to appeal to the kind of people who have that mentality where they just don't want to do anything and they pretend that it's for this reason or that reason. Here's another thing. My office job I was at for almost 5 years, what I found was a lot of people would kind of dick around and spend a lot of time going between the fucking office and the canteen area. And like, I'm there, like, you're not touching half your work most weeks. Yet you've got time to sit around and chat really loudly with your mouth full. So I have to fucking have headphones in all day because I have misophonia. And then when it comes to it and you're off for the fucking 20th time this month, who's doing your work? Oh, it's people like me who actually fucking try because I've got nothing else to do. I might as well. It's extremely frustrating. And I hate these kind of privileged attitudes. And I hate this like fake like champagne socialism shit where like people who have no idea what it is to be working class like patronize the fuck out of them and confirm all the shit that people like this say. And their take on like work is just the most cynical version of it when they've just had pretty much everything handed to them on a plate. I have so much resentment when it comes to this field. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I really wish people like this knew how bad it could get. and what it's like when you really need something. You can't just sit around waiting for the right thing to come along. You have to get something. And it's probably not going to be fun. And people are going to be rude to you. And people are going to expect you to do all kinds of things that you wouldn't want to do normally. That's just how fucking life works, man. Called contributing to society.
Like we are. And so,
When it comes to YouTube streamers, a lot of political commentators are basically doing poverty porn for middle-class viewers. It feels that way, yeah. And they love fueling the cope that, oh, I've got ADHD and I can't focus very well. It can't be my fault. It has to be something else. Because that's what we love doing. We don't like blaming ourselves. Like, I can be quite lazy in some respects. I'll easily hold my hands up to that. But someone like, I don't know about this person because they fucking work. They're a fucking professor. But the kind of people they're appealing to, like, some of them should probably just fucking get on with it. I have 3 degrees, nursing, English language, and animal biology, biochemistry. Diagnosed late in life with ADHD and wish I had medicated to assist me. Useless in the workplace. Yeah, it's tough. Hey. But that's the thing. When you have like mental illnesses, like all you can do is do the best you can until it gets so bad that you can't anymore. I don't know. And most of these people have no idea what it's like to be actually mentally ill, I would have thought.
in the absence of unionization, which that's happening in a lot of places.
And the other thing is, like, the ADHD shit, it runs perfect cover for people who are actually just fucking lazy.
Favor where we're not so disposable anymore, even though managers still try to act like we are. And so,
Like, what manager has this person had? They're a fucking professor. Like, such cope. Here we go. So what are the difference between physically disabled people who do need and should be provided help, and someone who simply thinks that society should provide for them, their wife, and their kids while they chill at a coffee shop? Yes, I actually know like people like this. Based, yes, true. True. Fucking Beblob apologia. There we go.
In the absence of unionization, which that's happening in a lot of places too, a lot of people are just trying to kind of vote with their feet by not showing up because there's really no reason to.
There's really no reason to. When was the last time you did a normal job, Devon?
In your research for the book, did you find there is a generational gap between millennials, Generation Z, Gen Xers, and Boomers towards the values of work? It seems.
I kind of feel like they have the luxury of support if they don't work too, to not have that really scary and will kick your ass into gigs. You have no choice. Yeah. Some people don't have a fucking choice, so they go and work, and they might down the line get better and better jobs. They might actually find something they really love. But if you just sit around all day on your ass waiting for something that is good enough for you, you know what I mean? Like, that doesn't work, because then you show up to the fucking interview. Oh, what have you been doing recently? What experience have you got? Yeah, I've just been sat on my ass waiting for the right thing. I could have been a fruit picker. I could have worked on bar. I could have worked at Weatherspoon or some shit. But I'm too good for that shit, so I just sat around waiting. Like, amazing. I do not think this person is giving good advice, personally. Very true. People think it's a quirky, fun thing to have. Yes, people treat it like that. It's the, like, TikTokification of, like, mental illness. I'm just waiting for them to, like, turn misophonia, which is a condition I have really, really badly. I'm just waiting for them to turn that into a quirky, fucking relatable thing. Like, it's not fucking relatable. Trust me on that. Fuck me. And yeah, some people have it, like, genuinely badly. I think I probably have ADHD. I'm not great at concentrating, but you got to not make excuses, I guess. Unless it's something that's really affecting you, then obviously you need help. And unfortunately, there's a massive queue when it comes to ADHD. So, hey.
Seems to me that, especially as a millennial myself, I'm about to be 31, I entered the workforce during the Great Recession 2008. So starting as a dishwasher at a local Piccadilly, like, my labor was
What's wrong with a job like that?
never valued from the moment I was
Never valued. So how come you got paid for that then? If it was not valued whatsoever, how come you weren't working for free?
entered the workforce. And I think, at least from my perspective and having a lot of Zoomers in my community, it seems that watching the recession growing up, kind of going through COVID lockdown.
Unlike Zoomers in kind of a decent place, because like the tech industry continues expanding and stuff. I'm sure I've seen that before. I need to look more into that, but I'm sure I've heard things like that before.
And seeing all of the unrest that came with 2020 and the kind of time warp that we're in, and now mass labor mobilizations across America and the world, it seems that Generation Z has a bit more of a, I would say, class-centered perspective on their work than generations before them. Is that something that you found as well?
Yeah, this dipshit listens to his audience about how things work. He's a radical leftist. I can tell from everything going on here. He's going to have radical leftist Zoomers watching him, so the perspective he's getting is going to be a bit slanted. It's a bit like when allies listen to specific kinds of trans people because they're appealing to those kinds of trans people, and then they think that those trans people are telling them how being trans is, when actually trans communities are very polarized.
Well,
I think that's the case. I never want to get too wrapped up in any myth that like any generation is inherently like more ascended than another, or that like the kids are going to save us or something like that, because
More ascended. Ugh. This person almost sounds like they believe in like the caste system or something. Ascended. Gross.
I think that's pretty dangerous. But I think it's indisputable that the culture has shifted a lot. And so people who are just emerging into that culture, that's going to be reflected in their attitudes. Again, also, I'm a
And by the way, doesn't this look a little bit materialist, a little bit consumerist? Just saying. I'm just saying. Like, you could probably say the same about me, but I'm not an anti-capitalist, so I don't know.
millennial. I'm 35. It was attitudes. Again, also a millennial. I'm 35.
Oh my God, he's older than me. Jesus.
It was beyond the pale to critique capitalism in a lot of ways when I was a younger person. We were still in that, post-Cold War, even though it had ended when I was a baby.
Well, what are the critiques you were making of capitalism? You can't just say it was bad to critique it as if you were like speaking truth and people didn't listen to you.
Fear of like acknowledging communism in the classroom, or really openly speaking too critically of capitalism. And
Well, the problem with communism is, whereas it worked on a large scale, it kind of seems like the USSR thing went pretty fucking terribly and has now led to something even crazier. Kind of seems like China was a bit of a fucking disaster, and now that's turning into something even crazier as well. It just doesn't seem like it gives good outcomes. So why would people be pro-communism and want to teach their kids to be more communist if that's the case?
9/11, I think, just also kind of further entrenched that kind of nationalism and that fear. And we don't have that now. And that's where I see the biggest difference. We see it too in, because again, it's not a
The other thing is, by the way, younger people, it seems to split by sex almost. Like, younger men are becoming more conservative. Younger women are becoming more like liberal.
clear generational line. We see it in boomers who are working class, I think, too, and people of color, and who know that the system isn't out, for their best interest. I think.
And also, how many like right-wing working class people do you think this person knows or talk to? I'm gonna guess none. So we're just out of touch as fuck.
It's mostly just the boomers who are, white and upper middle class and are still really living that kind of ideology, that are
Self-hating white person.
really refusing to be critical of capitalism.
Listen, self-hating white anti-capitalist people, dime a dozen. That's all of you. Just admit it. Because it's not just about being left-wing. I lean left myself. I'm a liberal. But you've got the self-hating, the anti-capitalism, the Antifa bullshit, the gender bullshit. It's all like a constellation of beliefs. These people are actually sheep. You know what I mean? They're actually just stereotypes. They're just conforming to a different kind of conformity than what they're saying the main thing is. Oh, thanks for following on Twitch, Mischief. Hope you're good. Do you like my I like that gif. Funny.
But it's just no longer considered this third rail that you can't ever touch, especially for younger people. And
He hasn't even substantiated how you couldn't talk about this kind of thing back in the day.
we see that even in just the media that gets released, being anti-capitalist is something that you can make a profit off of, which is very insidious. But
Yes, because you still exist within fucking capitalism. Capitalism allows you to shit on it while still succeeding. Because really it's just about audience capture and saying what your audience wants you to say. If you're good at that and you're feeding people stuff that makes them feel good, even if it's really not helping them or is making them a little delusional, then yeah, you can succeed in capitalism. Amazing. Well done.
But it is a good, sign of just how far we've come. And certainly, I think if I was
A third of the kids in my year group were socialists. Yeah, they listen to older socialist types like this who are really not representative of the majority of a group. I mean, you get them in this country. You get fucking older men that won't shut up about Jeremy Corbyn, even though he hasn't been the Labour leader for a long time. I'm bored of it myself. I voted for Labour when it was Corbyn, and then again when it was Starmer. So, hey.
growing up now, I would have been a lot more class aware a lot sooner, and I wouldn't have fallen for a lot of different forms of exploitation at work.
What exploitation has this person had? Exploitation at work. Stop using people of color to push capitalism. That's quite racist.
There's also a proliferation of the kind of commodification of social media and like our interactions with other people. It seems that there's also a more accessible critique now. It's not just that it's socially acceptable to say like, oh man, capitalism sucks, but there's also a...
Of course it's socially acceptable because it makes people feel good because they can't get anywhere with it. Well, they can't get anywhere with it. They're not being given amazing jobs immediately, I think is more accurate. Because most people probably could if they worked hard. You can work your way up and stuff. And if you're not very good, then maybe that won't happen. But unfortunately, that's kind of how it works. Sadly, what I also find is a lot of the time it's how good you are at fitting in and like getting to know your bosses and stuff. So if you're a bit introverted and a bit anxious, then you struggle a bit. And that's been another problem of mine, and which I thought I could work my way out of, but I don't know. It's easier for some people than others, I get. When I read Marx's manifesto as a teenager, it made sense to me. Then I went to Russia, and I really can't see how it will work anywhere. It seems to work well for like younger people, maybe because it's very binary. You've got the working class and then the bourgeoisie or whatever, which is, you can totally just split society into two groups. Nothing reductive about that, I guess, but hey.
An entire cottage industry of agitprop that people, myself included, have taken part in to be able to have these conversations. And I understand the...
You got an example? What kind of thing are you talking about? I love it. I have to fucking take a class in fucking Marxism to understand a single thing these fucking people are saying. I'll say about communism, you never saw anyone fleeing the West to get into the USSR. Yeah, not really. He'll have to cry into his Funko Pop. Yeah, this person doesn't seem like they've done all that badly, what with all the crap in the background. And I can't see what's been behind this person, but still.
The resistance towards, casting a generational lens on that. But I do think that the younger people are more comfortable with it, perhaps because of, their Gen Xer parents who are part of Occupy, maybe, more comfortable with those systemic critiques. It definitely does feel like younger people are kind of at the forefront, but maybe that's just because I can feel myself getting older, and it's more if I see that people with a more youthful glint in their eyes when they think of, oh man, things can be better, right? There is the part that I want to talk...
Things can be better, and that necessarily means Antifa and like fucking communism and stuff. I don't think so. It's not going to happen. The fucking massive LARP. I don't know why people honestly bother with that shit. Like, the socialism stuff seemed like it was big for a while when Bernie Sanders and Jeremy Corbyn were around. It seems like that moment has passed. Like, BreadTube is nothing now. Vorsh doesn't debate anymore. Xander Howell and Alec Gunt and all those other Vorshites, they're only really getting a second win because Trump won the election. Because, shitting on Trump is a whole cottage industry of its own. So yeah.
Talk about in the book, which kind of like dovetails into this. In the latter chapter, you have a section called "It's Not Your Job to Save the World." Can you kind of elaborate how the feelings of responsibility, but also the feelings of what we would colloquially refer to as laziness play into that kind of like social responsibility and that malaise we feel?
Yeah, that's such a great question, and you're well to bring it up in the context of
Yeah, I'm a man. Yeah.
younger generations having a little bit more hope, because I think where we're still missing a lot of the piece of the puzzle is organizing power and strategy and seeing this as a collective effort rather than an individualistic one.
And this is the same conversation they're going to be having forever, by the way. Well, what we're lacking is any kind of organization, any kind of consensus, any way of getting together and actually advocating for anything. Because what tends to happen with these far lefties is they just start falling out over any tiny difference they have after a while. And hey, if they actually get their way and some fucking revolution happens, these little pussios are going to be the first one fucking dying when the inevitable power struggle comes after the fucking revolution. So, I don't know. You wanna be a leopards voting for your own face to be eaten off party? Then go right ahead, because that's what these queers for fucking revolution are. They'll be the first ones. I'm never going to be up against the wall, like people like to keep saying. These people, if they get their way, necessarily they would end up against the wall. And they're not going to be spared. And I ain't fucking sparing them, because fuck these people.
And so in the book, Laziness Does Not Exist is all about basically, moral Puritanism and this idea that a person must do everything by themselves, that you are your accomplishments, you are your productivity. It's shameful.
You are your accomplishments and your productivity. Is that true? Like, when you work, you're there to do a job and you get paid for that job. And like I said, that can lead to better things. It's not just money that you're getting out of it. It's the main, most immediate thing you're getting out of it, but not the only thing.
Shameful to ask for help, and basically we're just given this tool by our culture of only thinking of ourselves as an individual agent. And unfortunately, when that's your only way of thinking about the world is your impact as an individual, that's going to bleed into how you think about your politics too. So even if you are, let's say,
Well, why would you ever just want to think about the world in terms of your impact on it? Why not just care about your, like, happiness, you know? Why not care about finding things to live for, like a family, a partner that you love? You might discover a love for music or a love for cooking or something. That's all life is about. I don't see how any of this shit really helps. Working is just necessary. It's how you give back to society whilst getting something from society. You get fucking paid for it, you know what I mean? You don't like your job, stick it out until you get a better one. I don't want to be rude, but that person in blue looks weird. If you put on one of those Quaker Oats mascot wigs on them, you could ship them to 17th century France and they would fit right in. I can't think what that looks like, but I'll listen, if someone wants to Photoshop that, then feel free, drop it in my Discord. Also, make sure you like the stream. Check out the links in my description. You can donate, you can check out some music. If you were hearing it earlier, we played some music. And you can join my Discord. Excuse me, anyway.
say a leftist or an anti-racist, or you hold whatever kind of values, you might still be approaching them from a really individual lens where you think you need to be the martyr, the hero, you need to be...
Yeah, this sounds like a really toxic way of thinking. Like, stop obsessing over making any kind of impact on the world. Stop obsessing over being known for anything. Just try and be happy and, you know, see where life takes you. You don't have to, like, desperately try and find some way of contributing to something. Your messages are appearing to me, Hillary Clinton. Hi, Pablo.
Doing everything, that you're kind of morally judging yourself for any issue that you're not reading enough about, knowing enough about, doing enough about, and maybe even shaming other people who seem like they've kind of dropped the rope a little bit.
I mean, I kind of agree with him on this part. Like, you get some people that seem to think, like, this is common in trans circles. You get people who seem to think they have to keep on top of all the news. They have to know about every fucking anti-trans bill happening in Alabama. Meanwhile, you live in fucking the Midlands, UK or something, nowhere near. And, like, obsess over that and, like, signal boost all this shit and drive you and your own friends crazy over it. You don't have to do any of that, and you don't owe the world anything. All you should really be doing is trying to find happiness. And if you can find yourself in a position where you can make change, great. I'd like to find myself in that kind of position too. I'd like to help people think a bit more smartly about this shit. I'd like to help people transition into a world that is going to be a bit less pro-trans, that is not going to give us everything on a plate, because that's where we're headed. And some of that I don't really agree with. I think an adult should be able to transition if that's what they want to do, sure. But like, we created the conditions for people like Nancy Mace and Donald Trump to exist. And so they're going after trans shit. That's how it is. We shouldn't have been pushing for stuff that wasn't ours to take. Like trans kids, other people's kids, not ours to take. We should be leaving them alone. Anyway.
But aren't doing enough to help as well. And that is just an ideology that is, again, it comes from capitalism, it comes from Puritanism.
Is that true? It comes from capitalism? How so?
But it makes it really difficult to organize. And so
oh yeah, they don't ever say, they just make all these prescriptions and I'm right, trust me, capitalism bad. I should find the fucking Oblivion music for this. Jesus Christ.
That chapter, It's Not Your Job to Save the World, is all about having a degree of humility and realizing that bootstraps logic, if it doesn't apply to the economy, it definitely doesn't apply to, ending incarceration or improving conditions in your neighborhood.
What? As if the average person should be really that concerned with this kind of thing. Like, I don't know. Sort your own shit out and then maybe see if you can find a way that you can put your finger on the needle. If you really think you can do something good for society, sure. But like, what's this got to do with capitalism? Like, yeah, you work, you contribute to society. That's a good thing, believe it or not. Sitting on your ass all day at home isn't really a helpful thing for society, so...
But it's a collective effort where you have to really find your niche, your calling, where you can make a difference in people's lives.
And another thing with this like leftism kind of stuff, it feels like we're extremely individualist. And like these people keep appealing to like collectivism, but like queer theory and shit like that, it's not about collectivism. Most of these people are very individualist and usually quite consumerist as well. Like this person seems to be the first one I've seen in a while that doesn't have a fucking army of plushies behind them. Just jumping from one virtue signal to the next. Yep, that sounds like an American social psychologist professor or whatever the fuck he is.
Lives and interweave yourself within a broader community.
Listen, the fact that you get to sit around and think about this kind of shit for as long as you do, that's a clear sign of privilege, my friend. And you have the nerve to like shit on your own race. as if somehow that's what you think the privilege is. It's not. It's really not.
To get things done and to support people. And to know that means that you're not going to be an expert.
It's not good to them. They think money grows from magical trees and the gov just pay everyone to do nothing. Well, they certainly want that to be the case. The thing is, I support things like helping the disabled. I have like significant problems myself and I'm due any help whatsoever. And I have my own feelings about working. But for one thing, I don't tell people to be like me. And for two, I'm at least doing something that might help me long term. Like actually get a little bit of money coming in. Because that's something I've kind of struggled with, But I'm at least fucking trying to do something. Aaron Reed, Jesus Christ. Listen, I'll try not to spurg about Aaron Reed too much. But it's difficult. It's always difficult, Aaron Speed.
On every issue, and you don't necessarily have to be, and that you're going to be reliant on other people, and that the arc of change is this really slow, often really personal process of just small conversations with people and kind of doing that kind of organizational work. And I do think that is something that gets lost on social media. It's hard to do.
You know what Aaron Reed's middle name is? It's Can't. Aaron Can't Breed. It's funny. It's not funny.
That kind of community building online. It's not impossible, but It's a lot easier to share an anti-capitalist meme than to kind of have those in-depth community building.
Yes. And we're going to have this conversation for fucking perpetuity. Because you people aren't good at organizing. Wasn't it like that Luigi guy who shot a CEO? Wasn't he like right wing? Wasn't at least one of the guys that shot at Donald Trump right wing? At least those people actually go out and do shit occasionally. And then the leftoids all sit in fucking bed blobbing, like applauding it as if anything much will happen except every other CEO beefing their fucking security up. The dead CEO being replaced with a different one with also beefier security. And like the divide between rich and poor gets wider. I don't know. That's the risk of like radical action, in my opinion. But I don't know. Every time I talk about it, I get fucking radical freaks screaming at me about it. So hey, I don't know. People say that we need to have conversations. I'm nowhere near ready to have those tough conversations. Yes, true. Listen. Listen, isn't it Brianna Wu that loved doing that? Like, oh, we need to have more conversations. Like, constantly. To her credit, I will say that she gets, like, gender critical people on. But it's like, I don't know, it's, yeah. So sick of the Luigi chat. I've just been ignoring it. I don't have any hot takes on that shit. I'm not really a radical. I'm not really a proponent of, like, violent action. So, like, what do people want me to say? 100% agree. I'm very sick, but we who can at work rely on people working. Very grateful to those who can. Yeah, same. I mean, my partner works. I'm very reliant on that at the moment. Like, I live off whatever donations I get, like what little I get from Twitch for like subscriptions. I live off like music sales and stuff. We're doing okay. I cook all our food. We don't live off a huge amount. But my hope is that eventually it'll start going to something bigger and I can start, you know, thinking about broader things that I want to do. And I think that's very possible with this. It's just getting through it at the moment. I'd rather have a positive mindset about it than sit here bitching all day, because that's not going to help me. This person is abled and privileged. Yes, very true.
Absolutely. I love that you bring up Puritanism, because these kind of Protestant Puritan values of work ethic definitely are still pervasive today. Is that
work ethic is a good thing? Like, you probably shouldn't like work yourself to death. Not that I haven't tried, believe me. Because like when you work in an office and you have misophonia, so you have to have headphones in all day, it gets fucking lonely. So what you do is you either sit around watching the clock half the time, because it turns out your job isn't actually very difficult and you can get most stuff done, or you start helping out with other stuff that you're not getting paid for. And yeah, you're a bit of a mug, but at least the fucking time goes by, you know what I mean? But like work ethic is just a healthy balance, really. You don't want to be dicking around all day, but you don't want to be running around like a headless chicken for money that you're not getting, you know? It's just a balancing act. I don't even know what the fuck they're talking about.
mentioned at all in your work? Laziness does not exist. The kind of like Protestant work ethic that still, is within the corporate structure.
Absolutely. Yeah. So in the book, I kind
Protestant work ethic within the, what was it?
Is within the corporate structure.
Within the corporate structure. I love it. I love these stupid sentences they concoct, which totally mean literally anything.
Absolutely. Yeah. So in the book, I kind of explain one of the big origins of this way of thinking of hating laziness does come from the Puritans and just kind of their influence on the U.S. as it was becoming a colony, as colonization was happening.
By the way, just so we know, this guy is a complete NPC. We've got hating on Anna Kasparian down here. Anna's crash out, there you go. Don't even need to watch, I can tell. Daniel Penny, admittedly I agree with, I watched it at the time, I thought the chokehold was way too much. I think we got to be really fucking careful. And like, the guy probably just needed restraining. But I'd need to watch it again, don't take that as like 100% whatever. Luigi stuff, amazing. Is it corrupt that Joe Biden cleared Hunter Biden? I don't think so, he's allowed to do it. Like, why the fuck wouldn't you? Fucking Donald Trump, bad. Anti-trans legislation. This is NPC shit. Shitting on Ethan Klein for not sucking Hassan's shit. Asmongold goes full Nazi. Mr. Beast. What else we got? What else we got? More Trump. More Trump. More Palestine. This is NPC shit. This is a zombie. This is a fucking zombie. And this person's a zombie as well.
And
you know who else says stupid shit? Sentences like this, Chinese Communist Party. I'll have to take your word for it. I don't have a thing of like Communist Party quotes to hand, unfortunately.
this day in psychological attitudes research, we see Americans endorse something called the Protestant work ethic or moral Puritanism far more than people in other countries. So the Puritans believed it was actually evil to give people charity, that if you were helping someone in your community, you were morally correct.
What's this got to do with like I mean, aren't Americans some of the most charity-giving people there are? Like, what is he talking about?
Corrupting them, because then they would no longer have an incentive to work hard.
A moral
And we still
hazard.
Yeah, the moral hazard argument, exactly. And we still see in America far more people endorse that attitude, that it is wrong to give people
Hating laziness is just a natural reaction. It's very difficult not to resent other people when you're someone that works your ass off, and when you look around, all you see is people not doing the same. And when, I don't know, let's use a very me example. Maybe you're working in an office and like people can call in whenever they want to report issues with their houses because you're a letting agent. And when you take a lot of calls from a certain person's area because they're not doing their work, you're the one taking all the shit for it, like getting people calling, like screaming at you, why has my heating not been working for 3 weeks? And you look on the thing and you're like, oh, it's that person. I could tell you why if I wasn't beholden to be professional. It's because your person doesn't do shit when they come in all day. And now I'm the one having to be shouted at. And when I try and put you through, they're always fucking off making their 17th cup of tea of the day. You know what I mean? I don't know. These people, I don't know if this person's ever had a normal job. This person is a professor. You know what I mean? Smoking some Eileen's dream. I've never heard of that. It sounds good though.
charity that we have to be really, really careful.
Conservatives give more to charity and stuff. Yeah, like older, richer conservatives, I'm pretty sure are like quite a charitable people. At least they certainly can be. Cenk is grifting. Anna is having a legitimate kind of change of heart. Yeah, Anna seems alright, honestly. I think she's quite smart. Cenk is a lot more like performative and kind of crazy. I don't know that I dislike him. Like, I don't know. I'm still kind of on the fence. I try not to conclude super hard on people who look like they're at least trying to think, you know what I'm saying?
Careful about who we give any benefits to, which is part of why it's so hard to get disability, unemployment, whatever else, food stamps. There's just so much gatekeeping you have to go through to prove you've really suffered enough.
Listen, is this a really stupid policy idea or am I a genius? I don't know. Give food stamps to all of these people that can't seem to get a job, but not money. Just give them food stamps. Give them the kind of stuff they need to do all the stuff they need to do, like eat their house and stuff like that, instead of giving them money. I don't know. Cenk is a bit yelly for me. That's fair enough. He's definitely like out there, but hey, I'm a bit crazy myself. I can't really judge.
We tend to still valorize suffering. And we also see that in corporate culture.
Valorize suffering. Like, when you've been through suffering, you get to the end of it and you're glad that you got through it. It's not really valorizing suffering. It's just understanding that there's a grind. Like I said, it's the kind of shit I'm doing now. I think that I can probably make more of myself doing this if I keep at it. But it's going to be a lot of grinding. It's going to be a long time where I don't have much money. I don't have much income. But that's okay. I'm okay with that. But I don't know. I don't know how much more I'm going to last of this. Like, this is ridiculous. I need to properly get onto like the lefty memes and shit. Because Jesus Christ.
Culture, organizational culture. Most managers, CEOs, business leaders have a lot of attitudes about productivity that don't line up with the data. So they think it's really important to bring people into the office.
Well, where's your fucking data? More important to bring people into the office. Okay, here's another one. Because my job that I was a letting agent at, this was over COVID. Like, I started there at the end of 2018. I finished in like 2023. So I worked from home for like a year and a half, as did basically everyone else, for at least like a year and a half, maybe less, maybe more, depending on who it was. The productivity went fucking way down. Like, it sucked. It was very difficult to get hold of some people because they were on their own at home. They weren't being observed by anyone. So they weren't really working. They were just kind of dicking around, like fucking spending all their time ordering food and fucking God knows what. And it was a pain in the fucking ass. So like, I don't know what he's even talking about here. It certainly runs contra to my experience. And if he shows data and I can verify it, then fair enough. Maybe he's got a point here, but like, I don't know. Right now, I don't know what the fuck he's saying.
Even though we know really well at this point, people are actually more productive from home and when they have flexibility.
Are they? Substantiate that. Maybe Gremlo will substantiate. Oh, wait, hang on. No, you just can find his links and stuff. Nice. Stay classy.
Managers think people have to come in.
I think if I did not suffer, I'd be a worse person today. I think you learn from hardships a lot more than people who float through life. Yes, agree. This is what I mean. It's so easy to end up resenting people that don't really have any problems. And when they get the same kind of jobs as me, they just kind of drift through it and they're able to make friends with everyone and they're not actually any good at their job, but people like them. You know what I'm saying? Oh, thank you, Reverse. So yeah, it's quite annoying. I personally think that like suffering has taught me a hell of a lot. And I'm very grateful that I got through it. I'm grateful to my past self for like getting through this shit. You know what I mean? Because suffering is just part of life. And we all have different things that we suffer from.
And work a certain set schedule when we know that flex time is actually a lot better for people's mental health and
Not going to substantiate, but okay.
Productivity. All these different things that we do to basically like torture working people just for the sake of...
Torture? Mate, do you know what torture is? There's only a fucking white American person could say something like that. Oh my God. Only a fucking leftist, queer loser from white America as a white American could call this fucking torture. I'll tell you what's torture listening to this.
Things that we do to basically like torture working people just for the sake of thinking that it's good and righteous to not let people get away with anything.
Substantiate that.
And to kind of force them to work. So yeah.
This is cooked. This is actually cooked. Like all this like Antifa shit, this is like emblematic of the problem with these kinds of people. Everything they say is mental. Like, why not flash some things up? Show what you're talking about. You know what I mean? Could Dr. Devon Price have not sent him a few things? Like, oh yeah, show this. This kind of backs up what I'm saying. Apparently not. And lots of people's experience runs contra to that. And it's annoying because working from home is probably something that could at least help me a little bit, even if I kind of struggled working from home too, because it's fucking distracting. And I probably have ADHD myself. So it's best if I can find an environment that doesn't allow that to get the better of me. You know what I mean? Because it's my responsibility, because it's me that has the problem. I'm not going to watch much more of this. Jesus Christ, it irritates me. It's like leftism excusing laziness shit irritates me as someone who actually has problems.
That's still incredibly widespread.
Well, teenager, yeah. They're older than me. They were 35 when this came out. I was 33 when this was posted. He's like, what, 36? 36-year-old? Oh my God.
Absolutely. So how do we fit the laziness within, or sorry, let me rephrase the question. We've given the descriptive...
Make sure you like the stream and check the links in my description.
Arguments of like what laziness is within the current context, how we interpret it. What are the prescriptive arguments against laziness, or looking at it perhaps in a different lens, both on the individual and on the systemic level? Like, how do we approach this within our...
Where I find this shit, I watch one person. Oftentimes that one person will have some other person that I've never heard of. I'll look up them. Keeps going like that usually. The algo helps me out a bunch. I watch a lot of like ridiculously shit content. So like, you watch a few shitty pieces of content, your algo starts sending you more. You know, it is what it is.
Personal lives within our own, maybe how we keep our spaces cleaner, how we approach work, but also how we look at our communities. Like, how do we reframe that conversation away from the dispersions against, your work ethic towards more, achievable goals?
Yeah. What I always say is that when we look at somebody's action or lack of action and we call that laziness, what is happening is that there are barriers to that person's action that we either can't see or that we have decided are just illegitimate. So lots of us, especially if you're neurodivergent, have had the experience of a teacher assuming you're lazy.
Neurodivergent, fucking hell. Listen, as someone who is not neurodivergent, very mentally ill, I don't think people usually found me lazy. Plenty of my teachers found me erratic as fuck, like not good at concentrating, kinda on it sometimes and then really not on it others, which is just kinda how I am. But I'm not neurodivergent, so like, I don't know. This is like, what, mild autism? Mild autism, slight ADHD, all that shit. I don't know.
Because they can't understand why you're not doing an assignment, because they can't see inside of your brain and can't see the confusion that you have or that you're depressed. They can't see.
Why don't we normalize talking through this shit, explaining to your teacher if you're struggling in a certain way, so maybe they can help you? Instead, I'm neurodivergent, I can't be held responsible for not doing the shit that's expected of me. Put myself back on every... Oh yeah, I can, can't I? Give me a sec.
The outside of the classroom and see what's going on in your life, in your home life, that makes it hard to study or that is just kind of wearing you down and making you demotivated. All of that broader context is just gone when we call someone lazy. And the unfortunate thing is that...
Yeah, the problem is you don't know when any one person is neurodivergent or actually lazy. Those people exist. You can pretend that's not the case. It does feel weird calling it that rather than saying autistic. Yeah, but we're obsessed with these, what are they called? Umbrella terms. Someone like this will call themselves queer. What does queer mean? Fuck knows. What does neurodivergent mean? Have they got literal brain aids, or do they have mild ADHD and basically function just fine? They just can't always concentrate very well. Who knows? Because we like concealing that shit behind weird umbrella terms. Like trans. I mean, it's too late for trans. Trans is a umbrella term bullshit that means nothing now. And that's the way we're trying to move language. So, hey, this is why I resist the fuck out of all this shit.
That we also do that to ourselves a lot of the time. We beat ourselves up for not keeping a completely tidy home, or for not showing up for all of our friends on the...
Well, at least to a certain extent, it's good. It's good to beat yourself up a little bit when you're not doing what you should be. It's not good to excessively do that. It's not good to drive yourself insane every time you make the slightest mistake. And it's not good to be the kind of boss that does that kind of shit, quite honestly. I've experienced that. I've experienced all different kinds of fucking bosses because I've done a lot of fucking work in my life. Oh God. Oh God. I don't know why I keep pressing play. It just gets worse. It just gets worse. Neurodivergent is like autism, ADHD, anxiety. Yeah, I guess.
The level we'd like to, for not doing enough activism, for not working hard enough at our jobs, without really taking a moment to give ourselves credit for all that we are dealing with.
There's nothing necessarily wrong with the stuff they're saying, but the kind of conclusion they come to and the kind of rhetoric they wrap it up in is just bizarre. I don't know. I might finish this another time. I'm just going to keep pausing every 2 seconds to rant for 10 minutes, and I don't know. Learn frustration and dealing with it is the difference between adults and children. Yeah, true. But yeah, I don't know. Gremlo seems like the kind of person that has Antifa on their mic and Antifa in the background. Devon Price seems extremely cooked in the head. Wouldn't recommend this person's philosophy myself, but can't tell you what to think ultimately. So yeah, I don't know. See you later.